Good morning. Welcome to Planet Mojo. Today I'm going to be planting bare root trees. I have most of my stuff ready to go. I need to get a level and a couple other little things. The trees haven't arrived yet, but they're scheduled to arrive today. So I'm going to go out and start digging the holes ahead of time. I have 12 trees to plant, and the weather is just not going to cooperate. I have the stakes for half of them. As you can tell, it's a very windy up on top of the ridge here, so any newly planted tree has to be staked. You can see how this lilac leans. You can see the lean on that as well, and you can see the lean on that apple as well. Those were staked, and even after being staked, once the stakes were off, the high winds around here keep pushing it until it has a lean like that. Most of the trees in the woods have somewhat of a lean as well. But if you don't stake it, we found out, it'll just knock the tree right over. So they will be staked, and that's about it. I gotta go get the rest of the stuff and head up and start digging holes. Okay, I think I have everything I need. I got some gypsum. We have heavy clay soil around here. So if I dig a 2-foot deep hole, it's going to be kind of smooth and heavy clay at the bottom of the hole. So what I do is drop in a couple handfuls of gypsum down there, and the gypsum, once it's activated by the water, it will turn the clay into regular soil, really. It works wonders. So I'm going to throw a little bit of gypsum down each hole, a little bit of my fertilizer blend, because I want this deep down where the roots are going to be able to use it, at least for the first year. After that, they're pretty much on their own. And I have some amendments. I don't want to amend the soil too much, just a little bit, enough to bring the level of soil back up to where it needs to be, up to ground level. You lose a bit when you take out the turf, and enough to loosen up the clay a bit so that the roots can get their initial growth. You don't want to amend it too much, otherwise you can get hole bound, which is where your roots will hit the edges, and they don't want to try to go into the clay, so they just keep going round and round and ends up killing the tree. You also want to scarify the edges of the hole as well, so I have my little hand spade for that. I got the rope for tying them up, but I forgot to get the straps. I got to go back over to the greenhouse and pick up the straps. I have enough stakes for 6 of them. I can only carry enough water for 1 hole each. When they're watered in the first time, what you're doing is getting rid of air pockets and getting the soil settled in around the roots. I'm also going to tamp, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem. But after that initial watering, they really don't need water again for a good while. They're not transpiring yet, so which means they're not breathing because they don't have any leaves yet. So until they have leaves, they don't need a whole lot of water. And if you overwater them right after planting a bare root tree, you run the risk of rotting out the root before they get started. So once they're planted and watered in, it's kind of a play it by ear thing. Okay, so I'm going to go get them straps and dig some holes. Okay, I'm at the first hole location. I dug these in the fall last year. There's a video on that. I left them a little bit shy of full. That's why, another reason why I need some soil amendments. I'm going to lose a bit of soil here. But I drilled these down, I think it was 18 inches to 2 feet. I think I tried to get 2 feet. And then I added a good deal of amendments and watered them in real well. Now what that did was it gave it, 6 months to wash nutrients down below where the tree's going to be. And it's mostly potassium and phosphorus. Nitrogen would just be gone. So now I'm going to add I'm going to add the same fertilizer mix to the bottom of this hole along with gypsum. But really all I got to do now is I'm going to go about 2 feet. I haven't seen the trees yet, so I'm hoping that's about where they're at. Bur Oak 4 to 5. Standing here, this one right here, they were kind of curled up in the box, sitting on its root ball. This one is close to 6 feet, so I guess I'll do. Right now, I gotta get this cut open and separate out 10 of them right away and put them in some water. These have to soak for 2 hours, so around 2 hours. A little bit more won't hurt it. I'm going to leave these in the bag. They haven't started sprouting yet, so it'll be good as long as I don't let it dry out, and it should be fine in its own bag. It's nice and cool on this floor, so I'm going to try to get the 10 in, and then if I can, lay it out and get the last 2 in. Okay, this is the second from last hole. These were not prepared last year like I did with all the others, so it's pretty much how you would have it if you did this yourself. So what you really need is a hole about the size of the root in diameter and in depth, and these have varied so widely. I originally dug the holes thinking that I was getting 6-foot trees, and that was not the case. See, this will work fine. So this one, I won't add anything to the bottom. I'm just going to start filling it. But what you got to do is put something across the holes so you can have a level, so you can gauge ground level. And you want the very topmost root, this one right here. This is called, well, it's called the root flare where they first start, but on this type of tree it's just got itty bitty ones up there, and they're kind of widely spaced. But you just go right to the very top one, and you can go a hair above it. This actually has a nice line where it was in the soil at the nursery, so I can just shoot right for that line. So what you want to do is get your straight edge across the hole and then hang this in the hole right level with the top of the ground, and then start filling in around the roots. First I gotta blend this soil, dice it up a little bit. This hole did not have gypsum added to it last year, so it's very clayey. Okay, now I'm going to drop the tree down in the hole and start filling around it.
try to get fine enough soil around the roots so they get completely covered. Getting close. This is my top, which should be flush with ground level. Because I'm planting on a hill, I don't use the level up and down the hill. I use across the hill there. You don't want to go much more than this topmost root. This right here, this top root is where the root begins. Above it is the basal bark, and you don't want to bury the basal bark. I believe the tree breathes through the basal bark to some extent. I know you can kill a tree by burying too much of it. And some of the herbicides, there's a basal bark herbicide that excuse me, that you spray on the bottom part of a tree and it will kill it. So I'm guessing that you smother the tree if you go too deep. We've had trees in the woods that are buried 2-3 feet on one side, but the other side is open in places where you make a road and you cut on the high side, and if there's a tree in the way, that's what happens. And they live through it, so I wouldn't be too afraid of it, but still best to just plant it right over that topmost, that's called the flare, the root flare on. I don't know if they would even call it a flare on a tree like this, because it's just the one little guy at the top there. Okay, now lightly press it in. Sometimes I use a stick. I had a stick earlier and somehow I lost it. Probably fell out of the gator. Hopefully you can hear me. Now I'm going to add more dirt to get back up to that line, which is right there. The thing with bare root trees is they ship them when it's time to plant them in your area, and you don't have a whole hell of a lot of control as to when they get here. And these just happened to get here on the last sunny day for a long time. It's going to be raining. Well, tomorrow we have a blizzard coming. There's a blizzard warning right now. We have sustained 35 mile an hour winds with what the heck is it now? 4 to 9 inches of snow coming tomorrow. So I want to get these in before I have to wait a week or two for another day. Once these things start budding, you want them in the ground when they start budding. Okay, now I'm going to add a little bit of water and do the last one. And lastly, I gotta stake these because we're in a high wind area, so get that done real quick. Okay, that wraps it up. 1 dozen bare oak trees, bare root bare oak trees, 4 to 5 foot in one day. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I just flipped the sod and put it around for the berm, the water berm, and everything we have is on a hill, so you only put it on the downhill side, and then that'll catch some water. Otherwise, the water will just go right past this and it'll never get watered. This is from Splash. This is at the right height. The top root is right there. Okay, looking good. Well, if you want to see these babies grow this summer, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Click on the update icon, and a like would be great as well. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.